Hello and welcome to the world of stories. I'm sure you're here for a bedtime story to help you drift into sleep. And so, let's begin. The statue of the Happy Prince stood high up above the city on a tall column. He glittered in the sunlight, for he was painted all over in gold leaf and had a glowing ruby set into his sword hilt and two sparkling sapphires for eyes. The people of the city often looked up at the Happy Prince and sighed, for they admired his beauty and envied his contented smile. One evening, a little swallow came fluttering through the skies and landed between the twins' golden feet. It was well past the end of the summer, and the wind had gotten chill. The swallow's friend had set off several weeks ago for a warmer land. The swallow had stayed behind because he had fallen in love with a slender reed by the river, and he could not bear to leave her. But the wind had grown chill, and the bite of frost had crept into the air. The shivering swallow had realized that to stay any longer would mean certain death from the cold. He had begged the reed to travel with him, but the reed had simply shaken her head. So the swallow had been forced to fly sadly off without her. Tomorrow he will fly away and catch up with his friends. Now the little bird tucked its head under his wing and prepared to get some rest for the long journey. But just as the swallow began to drift off into the dreams, large raindrops started to fall on his head. The swallow looked up in puzzlement at the clear night sky and saw that the statue above him was crying. "Who are you, and why are you weeping?" the little swallow asked, as the statue's tears shone in the moonlight like diamonds. "People call me the Happy Prince," replied the statue, "but in truth, I am full of sadness. They have set me up here so high that I can look out over the whole city and see all its ugliness and misery. Tonight, I can see a poor woman sitting in a house near the edge of town. The woman is thin from hunger and pale from tiredness, but she is still at work, sewing passion flowers onto a gown for one of the queen's maids of honor. In a corner of the room, her little boy lies very ill in bed, asking for oranges. But the woman has no money to buy him anything, so all she can give him is water." The Happy Prince sighed. "Little swallow, will you pluck out the ruby from my sword hilt and take it to the woman, so that she might sell it to the jeweler for money? My feet are fastened to this pedestal, and I cannot move." The Happy Prince looked so sad that the swallow agreed to be his messenger. The little bird pecked the ruby out of the prince's sword and flew away with it in his beak over the rooftops. He flew in at the windows of the woman's house and found her slumped over her work in a worn-out sleep. The swallow laid the jewel down next to her thimble. Then he flew gently around the bed, fanning the feverish, sick boy with his wings, until he looked much cooler and more comfortable. Then the swallow flew back to the Happy Prince and told him what he has done. "It's strange," the bird remarked. "I feel a warm glow inside me, even though the weather is so hot." "That is because you have done a good deed," explained the Happy Prince, as the tired little swallow closed his eyes. Next day, the swallow flew all over the city, bidding goodbye to everyone and everything. "I'm leaving tonight for Egypt," he cried. But when in the evening he came to say farewell to the Happy Prince, he found that the statue was crying once again. Far across the city, I can see into an attic where a young man leans over a desk. He is struggling to finish a play for the director of the theater, but he is too cold to write anymore. His fire had died away, and he has no money to buy either wood or any food for his supper. A glistening tear rolled off the end of the Happy Prince's nose and splashed onto the swallow's head. "Little swallow, will you stay with me one more night and be my messenger? Will you pluck out one of my sapphire eyes and take it to him?" "But dear prince," said the swallow, "I will not pluck out your eyes." The tears gleamed in his own. "Little swallow, please do as I ask," begged the Happy Prince, and he looked so sad that the swallow fluttered up and plucked out one of his sapphire eyes and flew away with it to the young man in the attic. The little swallow was very relieved when he returned to nestle at the happy prince's feet, for the air underneath his wings had really become very cold indeed. The next day, the swallow flew down to the harbor and watched all the big ships sailing away to lands where the breezes were warm and the days were long. "I am leaving too, tonight," he sang out to everyone he saw. At sunset, the swallow flew off to the happy prince to say goodbye. "In the square below," said the happy prince, "I can see a little match girl whose matches have all spilled into the gutter. She is crying because she can make no money, and if she goes home empty-handed, her father will beat her." The happy prince smiled sadly. "Little swallow, pluck out my other eye and take it to the little match girl so she can be happy." "But then you'll be blind," cried the swallow. "Please do as I ask," whispered the happy prince, and he looked so sad that the bird did as he wanted. "Now you can no longer see," the little swallow said as he fluttered back to the statue. "I will stay with you always." But little swallow," protested the happy prince, "your friends will be waiting for you on the hazy banks of the river Nile." "I will stay with you always and be your eyes," the swallow promised, and he slept between the prince's feet. Next day, the swallow flew all over the city and told the happy prince what he had seen there. "I have seen the rich making merry in their beautiful houses, while beggars lie outside their gates," the swallow murmured. "I have seen old people who sit all day on their own, cold and lonely. I have seen small children tremble in front of bullies. I have seen much suffering and misery." "Little swallow," said the prince, "with your beak, peel off the fine gold that covers me. Fly with leaves of it to all the poor people of my city." The little swallow sighed, but did what he was told. Then the statue of the happy prince was dull and gray. As the faithful bird finally settled down between his friend's feet, the snow began to fall in thick white flakes. The streets glistened silver with a lining of frost. Icicles hung like shards of glass from the rooftops, and the little swallow shivered at the foot of the happy prince. He tried beating his wings to keep warm, but eventually he knew that he was going to die. The little swallow used his last drop of strength to flutter up to the prince's shoulder. "Goodbye, happy prince," he cried. "I will not see you again." "I'm glad you're finally going to where the sun will warm your wings," the happy prince said. "I am not going to Egypt," murmured the swallow. "I am going to sleep forever." And he kissed the happy prince on the lips and fell down dead at his feet. That very moment, a strange crackling noise came from within the happy prince. It was so loud that the mayor heard it way down below. He peered up at the statue for the first time in months. "Good Lord," he remarked, "however did the happy prince get that shabby? We will have to replace him with something else." The very next day, workmen pulled down the happy prince from his column and threw him into a furnace. They cleared away the dead swallow and then put a statue of the mayor on the column instead. But the happy prince knew nothing about all this, because his heart had broken. In fact, when the workmen opened the door of the furnace, they saw his cracked lead heart for themselves, because it would not melt away. They threw it onto the same rubbish dump on which they had thrown the dead swallow was lying. And when God asked his angels to bring him the two most precious things in all the city, they took the happy prince's heart and the little swallow with them up to heaven. That's it for tonight. Thank you for listening. Have a great night. Please like and subscribe if you like my contents. I shall update daily and continue with my best efforts. Good night.